on this colonial day in history of Victoria Day and the 100th anniversary of May Day. We acknowledge that as we acknowledge the history of St. Andrews, we're acknowledging a settler's history. We also recognize that on this year's May Day, 100th year celebration, is the 1-year anniversary of the finding of the 215 children's bodies found at Kamloops Residential School. So as we gather for this time of sharing of history, we acknowledge that we come together on the ancestral and unceded land of the Kwantlen, the Matsqui, the Katzie, and the Semiahmoo people. It is a history that we have had with them that is fraught with good and bad and very bad. And so we stand committed as part of our history that we continue to unfold here in Fort Langley. We stand committed to working with the Kwantlen people and all First Nations of this area in a walk towards reconciliation, of being with them and for them as we journey together this path.
It was opening day. The early morning was cloudy and threatening, but as the day advanced, it became clear, and at 11, the hour of the service, the sun shone with brilliancy and gave a pleasant and cheering aspect to the surroundings. As the hour approached, the people came pouring in from the surrounding district, and by 11, the church was filled, reported Reverend Alexander Dunn. On the main street, Glover Road, formerly Trunk Road in Fort Langley, south of the Fort Langley Cemetery, stands St. Andrew's Church, which was dedicated on September 26, 1885. It was the first church to be built and the second, or third, depending on the source, Presbyterian church to be built on the mainland of British Columbia. Serving the community ever since, it is now the oldest United Church building in constant use in the province of BC. St. Andrew's Church is not a museum piece or a restored facsimile. It has stood here for 137 years, used and maintained and changed throughout the years in accordance with the needs and abilities of the varying community of people who have met and worshiped here. St. Andrew's Church has historic, spiritual, and aesthetic significance. In particular, it is notable for its age, its siting in the community, its association with religious pioneers, as well as its lasting spiritual connection to the community, and for its Carpenter Gothic architecture style, including its simple massing. The church consists of a T-shaped wooden drop siding frame building with tall, thin, triangular Gothic peaked windows and a steeple and belfry capped with an octagonal peaked roof with trim railing.
The exterior appearance of St. Andrew's has not changed too much. Some updates and a hall addition in 1979, but it is still very recognizable in the pictures of the past. It reflects constant use and loving care. Times have changed. Names and faces have come and gone, but the work and passion of the church continues. Inside, you are welcomed by a petite one-room sanctuary at only 3 bays long and is made tranquil by the subdued lighting from the stained glass windows, introduced in the 1950s. It still has its original pews, windows, floor material, and back door. After several expansions, it reached the present configuration in 1979. St. Andrew's has a seating capacity of 90 in the sanctuary and another 90 in the hall. Also significant is the proximity of the Fort Langley Cemetery, Langley's first municipal cemetery, established in 1884, 1 year before the church was built. The two sites worked together to establish an air of sanctity and to reinforce landmark status of each other. The original church bell is from the Hudson Bay's company ship, the SS Beaver, the first steamship on the west coast of North America. Mr. Henry Wark, a factor of the Hudson Bay Company and postmaster in Fort Langley, noticed the bell in a storage room in Victoria, and for only the cost of shipping, brought it to Fort Langley. The bell no longer hangs in the steeple, as the fire in the church entry in 1970 destroyed the entranceway, and the steeple was brought down, and the old bell came crashing down into the flames, hitting the cement floor and cracking and breaking it beyond repair. The bell now rests in a glass case in the Heritage Room at St. Andrew's. Other than damage from smoke, the main part of the church was not harmed. It was saved by the front door, which is charred for 1.5 inches through, but is still intact. A testament to the quality of construction in 1885.
Pioneer settlers with early connections to St. Andrews were Reverend Robert Jameson, who was the first minister to practice on BC's mainland and also the founder of St. Andrew's Church. He was remembered for traveling great distances by foot, by horseback, and canoe in order to preach. Reverend Alexander Dunn, who came to Fort Langley in 1875, and had convinced the church to provide funds for the building of St. Andrew's, and it was he who named the church. There was James Mackey, Langley's first reeve, who donated land for the building. Thomas Turnbull, who built the church, and Henry Hoy of New Westminster, who designed the structure. Pioneer Henry Wark funded the building of the spire and belfry in time for the opening and dedication of the church, as well as getting the bell delivered. Francis Smith was the first baby christened in the church in 1887. Isabel Drew McIntosh and Benjamin Butler Marr were among the first couples married in St. Andrews. Names well recognized on buildings and streets of Fort Langley were church members: the Coulter family, Smiths, Trattle, Mowat, Moddisons, Waskas, Carruthers, McIvers. They were elders, board members, Sunday school teachers, UCW members, stewards, music leaders, CGIT members, and above all, St. Andrews was involved in supporting community events in Fort Langley, like the May Days, started in 1922, the Farmers Market, Remembrance Day ceremonies, and the Ceilidh. Many have called St. Andrew's Church in Fort Langley home in the years between 1885 to 2022, not because we feel that our story is unique, but rather because it may well be the story of any small church with its humble beginnings, its struggles, its human conflicts, and with its joy and passion. We think such a story deserves to be told.
How wonderful it is to share the beautiful history of this building with all of you. My name is Reverend Sophia Ducey, and it's my honor and blessing to be one of the ministers with Reverend Ryan Tristan Chapman of United Churches of Langley. This St. Andrew's Chapel, this building, has been an institution in our community for 137 years, opening up its doors, unlocked doors for many of those years, and unfortunately in our time and our place that's not as possible, but truly having an open door policy for all people to find a place of worship, a place of community and connection. This has truly been a place where community happens, where people come inside the building to share in meals, in tea. Many community groups have used this as their meeting place. So we've had Girl Guides and Montessori schools. The Remembrance Day Committee often has met here before, as well as May Day and Cranberry Fest. We participated in that parade that goes right along the Glover that you're hearing the sounds of the traffic right now in pouring rain. And so this became a place of refuge and to dry out during that, as well as those beautiful sunny days of the May Day parade. For Cranberry Fest, we've hosted our farmers market here in the building, as well as serving turkey and bun and cranberries, of course, as part of that community activity. We were the co-founders of the Good Friday Walk that has really emerged as an ecumenical walk throughout the streets of Fort Langley to honor the Walk of the Cross on Good Friday. And we've just redone our Christmas lights to dawn the bright and sprinkly stars of Christmas every year in December. This has been a beautiful place of ministry and connection, from our Sunday morning gatherings for worship to centering prayer on Wednesday mornings, where we gather and we sit in the silence. We have social lunches regularly where people gather, have soup and buns, and maybe play some board games and have a time of connection and teas. It truly is a place where people gather around many different things. Our art break group that meets on Friday mornings is an opportunity to engage with our creativity. And one of our most special groups is the Skeptics group that meets regularly on Friday afternoons to delve into those tough questions. Those questions of faith, of justice, of environment, of reconciliation, and to ask some of those questions that don't often get asked either in culture, let alone inside church walls. And so it's such a great place to bring questions and to be able to engage in our faith. We hope this fall to revive our Kaylee, which is that down-home kitchen party with music and community life together that was put on pause due to the COVID pandemic, and so we're looking forward to that. As we head into this fall, we hope that we can continue to open up in outreach our building, to be able to bring space for people to come and have connection, counseling and support groups, Tai Chi and yoga and other spiritual practices have happened in our building, and we hope to bring more and more of those heading into the fall. And a beautiful, exciting highlight is, for the first time this year, as part of the Jazz Festival here in Fort Langley, we have asked to host a worship service on Sunday morning to be able to allow people to experience that intertwining of poems and prayers and jazz in that unique way that jazz can create the container for a wonderful spiritual experience. We hope you've enjoyed learning more about the history and the ministries of St. Andrew's and the United Churches of Langley come and be a part of the community that is happening here now and hopefully for another 137 years into the future. Thanks.